Hi, everybody. Welcome to English Digest. I'm Tom.
Hi, I'm Stephanie.
It's our sport unit for the month of December.
Let's call sports unit because we're Americans and not British.
Yeah, I guess you'd say sport if you're in England, and we tend to add the S. I like sports, you know.
I do.
In England, they'll say, I like sport. I like a good sport. I like to play football.
And if you watch CNN, you're watching news that is being broadcast from England. So they always talk about the sport news. Yeah, we say sports. So we're going to talk about kind of a crazy sport. This is one sport. What did you think about it when you read about this, Tom?
Well, I've known about this. It's called longboarding. Longboards as opposed to the shorter skateboards. And I guess this one's generally designed to go downhill at great speeds. I wouldn't do this myself. It looks like it's too dangerous. If you screw up and you have to bail out, then indeed you could get seriously injured. I'm sure you could probably find videos on YouTube. Just type in the words longboard fails.
Or longboard wipeouts.
Yeah.
A wipeout is when you crash and it's really bad. I saw some pretty bad wipeouts, but I did watch some really interesting raw runs. The first one I watched was in Switzerland. Of course, they have great mountains. It's beautiful scenery. But I could not believe these guys were going down these really steep hills at that speed. That's insane.
Right, but of course you don't only have to go downhill if you have a longboard. I've seen plenty of people just going over flat surfaces on the riverside bike paths here in Taipei. Not necessarily doing tricks. If you want to do tricks, you need the shorter skateboard, and maybe you go to a skate park or something like that.
No, they do tricks on longboards too. I watched some. They were being taught,
Okay, I don't think you could do them as well as skateboard.
I don't know. I don't do any of this.
I'm sure you could do something on them, but generally speaking, we're going to be talking about longboards being used for downhill longboarding. So that's why we're calling it surfing the sidewalk, how longboards made it big, how they got to be invented and stuff like that. And maybe we might inspire you to get yourself a longboard. But again, we don't want to encourage you too much because you might get hurt, because indeed it is quite dangerous. But in any case, let's get to it. Let's read through the entire contents of our lesson one time.
Raw runs may be on Instagram, but it's not for posers. In this account's videos, boarders speed down twisting mountain highways at over 100 kilometers per hour. It's heart-stopping just to watch. One bail, and everything could be over. But the riskiness of longboarding is just one of the reasons why this sick sport is taking the world by storm. Longboarding's popularity in the mainstream is a relatively new thing. However, boarders have been laying down lines since the 1950s. The sport was first dreamed up by surfers in California and Hawaii who wanted something to do when the sea was too calm to surf. Nailing wheels to surfboards, they began practicing surfing techniques on land. And before long, this became a sport in its own right. As the design of these sidewalk surfboards changed and improved, they evolved into two distinct shapes. Skateboards were shorter, curved upward at both ends, and were ideal for performing jumps and tricks. Longboards, meanwhile, were flatter, longer, and better equipped for reaching high speeds. Though these longer boards didn't really take off until the 1990s, the ease with which they can be used to cruise at pulse-quickening speeds has since taken the sport to new heights. Although a righteous ride on a longboard will raise the hairs on your neck, an adrenaline rush isn't the only thing it can offer you. An hour of longboarding burns 300 calories in a 57-kilogram person and helps build core and leg muscles. That makes it great for getting a surfer body, especially if you live far from the beach. So, whether you're looking for a thrill or just a good workout, grab a longboard and start tearing up some turf.
Okay, let's talk about the contents of today's lesson. Again, the title is Surfing the Sidewalk, How Longboards Made It Big. Now, here we've got the word surfing, and generally that refers to the sport of taking a board out into the ocean and standing on it and trying to ride a wave back into shore. That's surfing, but surfing can be used in other situations like surfing the internet, for example, looking for information when you're playing with your computer. But in this particular case, we're talking about the sport of surfing when it's actually done on land. You're surfing the sidewalk. That's what longboarding is all about. And this is going to ask the question, hey, how did longboards make it big? Well, we're going to tell you how longboards made it big, how longboards became so popular.
Yeah, there is an interesting phrase here in the first sentence, raw runs. I'd never heard of these. That's when I first started looking up stuff on the internet. A raw run is when someone on a longboard starts at the top of the hill and goes down to the bottom, just one straight shot down to the bottom. They get going pretty fast, too. So here it says raw runs. Maybe on Instagram, because people, of course, videotape these things, and then they post them. But here it says, but it's not for posers. Poser is a word we use for people who pretend or like a certain way, but they're really not that way. Here we're using it to talk about someone who perhaps has a longboard, acts like they're a really great longboarder, but they're not. They really don't know what they're doing. They know nothing about it. And the people who are legitimately or real longboarders, they kind of laugh at the posers. You can be a poser in other things, though. Maybe you think you're really great at something and you post yourself on Facebook or Instagram. A lot of people out there will make fun of you if you're a poser and you don't know what you're doing. But some people, you know, they like a lot of drama. They want attention. They want people to think they're cool at doing something, but they're just faking it. They don't know anything about it.
Yeah, it can be quite exciting, especially if you're young and you feel like you're indestructible. You might think, hey, that looks easy. Let me ride on a longboard and do those raw runs just like they do in those Instagram videos. But in this account's videos, boarders speed down twisting mountain highways at over 100 kilometers per hour. So I guess they try to find locations to do this. They've got the longboard, which is a really long skateboard, and they go down twisting mountain highways. You can describe a highway as twisting when it just kind of goes back and forth all the time with a lot of hairpin turns. You've got a lot of twisting mountain highways here in Taiwan, of course, because Taiwan is a very mountainous place. But in this particular case, they're going downhill. You know, they're using gravity and they're building up their speed.
Yeah.
And they can go quite fast. They reach speed over 100 kilometers per hour. That sounds mighty dangerous and, you know, could be fatal if you don't know what you're doing. So be careful.
I would be surprised if you could do it here because there are so many cars on the roads and scooters.
I've never seen anybody try to do this here in Taiwan.
I've never seen someone do a raw run in Taiwan. You're kind of crazy if you do. Here it says they're twisting. These mountain highways or roads are twisting, which means they wind back and forth. They're not just straight down. As most of you know who have climbed mountains before, there's something called switchbacks, which means you hike up one direction and then you go another direction. It keeps twisting and turning. Well, these mountain highways also twist and turn. That's what makes it so dangerous, is getting around some of these curves in the road. You see some of these longboarders really close to wiping out or bailing, which means you have to give up because they lose their balance or they start wobbling, moving back and forth. It gets kind of dangerous. I can't believe how fast they're going. If it's heart-stopping just to watch, you're watching something that is so exciting and scary at the same time. You're afraid someone's going to get hurt. So maybe it's a movie you're watching. Maybe it's a horror film and there's someone who doesn't know. There's a killer behind the door with a knife or something, and that will get your heart racing because you kind of put yourself in that position. Well, this is heart-stopping just to watch these videos. It was for me, and I kept thinking, what are you doing, you crazy boys? Because one bail and everything could be over, meaning you wipe out so badly that you injure yourself, perhaps even kill yourself. I mean, be careful, guys. If you bail, here it's being used as a noun. It means to fall or jump off a board before a fall. But we also use this, guys, just to say someone let us down. Maybe you had plans to go out with a friend, but they bailed on you or they bailed at the last minute, meaning they canceled last minute. So you can bail on someone by letting them down or canceling on plans that you had together. Bail can either be a verb or a noun. Here we're using it to talk about the longboarders falling off their board or jumping off right before they fall. But they're going at such high speeds, Tom. Even if they jump, they're going to hurt themselves.
Right, and like I said earlier, the word bail is often used as a verb, and sometimes with the preposition out, to bail out.
Or bail on someone, that's the slang. They bailed on me.
Exactly. So, yes, indeed, you could bail out here if you detect that something is dangerous and you're going to crash into a cactus or something.
Or a car.
Then you have to, jump off the board and try to save yourself. Although when that happens, of course, they're going too fast. They try to run, but they just can't keep pace with their speed, and they wipe out on the ground. And you could break some bones that way.
Totally.
And bones, when you break your bones, it can be quite painful. So, yes, indeed, watch out for that. But the riskiness of longboarding is just one of the reasons why this sick sport is taking the world by storm. So it's the riskiness, how risky it is. People like that stimulation sometimes. If something is risky, then it gets more exciting. Like skydiving is kind of risky. You could die from that, So indeed, that's what appeals to a lot of people, the riskiness involved. And also, we've got the word sick here. It's a sick sport. That doesn't mean it's bad. Oftentimes it means it's something really good. Hey, that was really a sick move there, dude, which means it was really great. And then we've got this term, take something by storm. To take the world by storm, take the country by storm, just means it became popular really, really quickly.
Yeah, I wanted to mention sick is interesting because it can be negative too. Oh, that's sick. You just have to be there to see what they're referring to so that you'll know which one it is. Right now, we're going to listen to our Chinese teacher, and then we'll be back to continue talking about this really sick sport.
Hello, my name is Shelby. 今天文章要介绍一种极限运动，长板。第一题 It's hard stopping just to watch. One bell and everything could be blank. 只是观看就会让人感到惊心动魄，只要跌倒一次，一切都怎么了？第一题空格在 be 动词之后，表示它是名词或形容词。One bell 暗示从滑板上掉下来，如果跌倒，一切就完了。所以第一题答案选 G, over, 结束。
We're going to take a quick break. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.
We shall now continue with our lesson for today, longboarding. So longboarding's popularity in the mainstream is a relatively new thing. Popularity just refers to how popular something is. We talked about the popularity of pearl milk tea earlier this month. And if you're talking about something being mainstream, that just means it's common, it's 流行, it's very popular in society at large.
for most people to know about. I had never heard of these guys before, especially the raw runs, which is insane. So now I know, but it is a relatively new thing. Relatively because it's not brand new, but compared to other things, yeah, it's been around a little less time than other things. Talking about the history here, boarders, that's what we're calling them, have been laying down lines. To lay down lines is kind of slang. It just means it comes from the track lines that you leave behind from the wheels of your skateboard or your longboard. It also means to go downhill at a very fast speed. Sometimes you'll hear people say he was going at breakneck speed. Breakneck is one word, and it literally means he could break his neck. He's going so fast. So breakneck speed. So it's been around since the 1950s. You know how it got started is it was dreamed up by surfers, people who actually surf on boards in the ocean in both California and Hawaii. You know, they wanted something to do when the season wasn't right for surfing in the ocean and the sea was too calm. There weren't any big waves. So instead of just picking up a sport like baseball or, tennis, they nailed wheels to their surfboards, which are quite long if you've ever seen them, and they began practicing surfing techniques on land, which I could understand. It would help their techniques improve. And before long, didn't take too long before this happened, it became a sport in its own right, meaning it was no longer related to surfing in the ocean. Now it was its own sport. People wouldn't connect the two anymore in its own right. Before long, you'll just see this when not too much time passes by before something happens. There's no exact measurement, though, so you need to know how long before you use it. Don't use it if it's too long.
Yeah, you could say the student guitarist eventually became a professional in his own right. He became a professional and he was no longer a student. So yes, before long, it didn't take long before this sport was its own sport separate from surfing, although surfers probably still do it to hone their skills.
Improve, hone.
Indeed.
Yeah.
And here in the next paragraph it says, as the design of these sidewalk surfboards changed and improved, they evolved into two distinct shapes. Okay, so they were doing these surfboards that were for the land, so they were called sidewalk surfboards in slang here. They changed, they improved, and then they eventually evolved into two different shapes. They were distinct from each other. We got the skateboards, which most people use these days. They were shorter, they were curved upward at both ends, and were ideal for performing jumps and tricks, which a lot of skateboarders like to do. You jump up in the air and you flip the skateboard around and land on top of it. Those are some kinds of tricks that you can do.
Yeah, if it's curved or it curves up, it just gradually goes from being straight and then either goes up or down. So it was curved upward. It tells us which way it curves. It can go down too, guys. So you need to say which way it goes. It curves up, curves down, or it was curved upward, so it went up at both ends. Longboards, meanwhile, were flatter, longer, and better equipped for reaching high speeds for those people who want to take bigger risks, I would say. Though these longer boards didn't really take off or become popular, that's what takeoff means, until the 1990s, the ease, or how easy it was with which they can be used to cruise at pulse-quickening speeds, has since taken the sport to new heights or made it even more popular. We often use this word to cruise to talk about just moving. Usually you're going forward, but not too fast or slow. You're doing it for pleasure. Here, we're actually talking about traveling around with a specific destination in mind. You can cruise a lot of things. Here, we're describing how we're cruising, guys. Pulse quickening speeds. It makes your heart speed up. That's your pulse. How fast your heartbeat is going is your pulse. So it's going pretty quickly. Moving on to the last paragraph. It's called a righteous ride on a long board, and it will raise the hairs on your neck. Fearful or afraid, you'll often find that the hairs on the back of your neck go up. It's just, a spontaneous response from our bodies. And a righteous ride means excellent, very cool. It has nothing to do with religion or being a morally good person. It just means really excellent.
Yep, so although it is true that a righteous, excellent ride on a longboard will make you excited and raise the hairs on your neck, still, an adrenaline rush isn't the only thing it can offer you. There's more to longboarding than getting all excited and getting a rush of adrenaline. That's that hormone your body releases when you're in kind of a dangerous situation. Some people just love that, being in dangerous situations to get the adrenaline going. An hour of longboarding is actually beneficial to your body. It burns 300 calories in a 57-kilogram person. Okay, a calorie, of course, is 热量 in Chinese. So, yes, indeed, if you're trying to burn calories and lose weight, hey, this might be an option for you. And it also helps build core and leg muscles. The core muscles are the muscles kind of in the middle of your body.
Your abdomen, your stomach is often referred to as your core. Need to build those muscles up. It sure would help those particular muscles and your leg muscles. If you watch the videos, you'll understand why. There's a lot of balancing. So that makes it great for getting a surfer body. Here you can use surfer without the apostrophe S. Surfer's body is also correct. But a surfer, which is a noun, can also become an adjective. So you're going to get a surfer body, which is great for guys and girls who actually love to go out on the ocean and surf the waves. So it's great if you live a long ways from the beach, which we don't actually. I guess those of us who live in Taipei are further from the beach. So whether you're looking for a thrill, some people are, or just a good workout, grab a longboard and start tearing up some turf. Here, this phrase to tear it up or tearing it up just means you're competing really well. It's a slang phrase, guys. It also means you really beat the competition. And if you're a musician and you tear it up on stage, you're really performing at a high level. It's very impressive. So maybe you want to go tear it up or tear up some turf outside. But be careful and definitely wear a helmet and gloves and other protective devices that can protect your poor bodies.
Indeed. So there you have it, an introduction to longboarding. And, of course, you can pursue this sport at your own discretion because, yes, we did say it can be quite dangerous, and we certainly don't want to see any of you getting hurt.
No.
Okay, that brings us to the end of our explanation for today. Time now to listen to our Chinese teacher.
第二题 Longboarding's blank in the mainstream is a relatively new thing. 长版的什么在主流文化中还是一个相当新的东西。Longboarding 是所有格后面放名词。However, 下一句说，早在50年代就有人玩这种运动，表示第二题长版的什么和50年代相反，是相当的新。所以答案选 C, popularity, 流行。第三题 The sport was first blank by surfers in California and Hawaii who 巴拉巴拉。这运动最初是由加州和夏威夷的冲浪手什么的。这个空格应该填过去分词，搭配前面的 was 和后面的 by， 形成被动语态。冲浪手想找些事情做，这运动就被怎么样？所以选项 A dreamed up 凭空想出来比较适合，答案选 A。第四题 Nailing wheels to surfboards. They began practicing surfing blank on land and blah blah blah. 在冲浪板上钉上轮子，他们开始在陆地上练习冲浪的什么？第四题应该放名词，和前面的 surfing 组成的复合名词。依照文意选 B techniques 技巧。第五题As the design of these sidewalk surfboards changed and blank, they evolved into two distinct shapes. 这个空格应该要填写过去式动词，配合 and 对等连接相同时态的动词。 设计是不断的改变和怎么样，才演化成2种类型，所以这题答案选一 improved 改善。第6题，空格前面提到这样改善过的短板较短，两端较翘，接着又说 and were blank for performing jumps and tricks。 were 之后我们应该放名词或者是形容词，不像长板追求速度，短板在跳跃和特技上很怎么样子。依照上下文，这题答案要选 I ideal 理想的，短板适合跳跃和特技。第7题，前半句 Though these longer boards didn't really blank until the 1990s 巴拉巴拉，虽然这些较长的板子直到90年代才怎么样，但他们能轻易加速的这种特色，将这项运动推向高峰。 Didn't 之后要放原形动词，90年代之前长板并没有怎么样子，90年代之后才让这项运动登上高峰。 Take off 表示突然走红，所以第7题我们答案选 J Take off 表示开始流行。第8题，前半句说虽然长板出色的滑行让头发都竖起，后半段And adrenaline rush isn't the only thing it can blank。 大量分泌肾上腺素并不是这种运动唯一能怎么样子。助动词 can 之后要接原形动词，后面的句子说长板运动会燃烧卡路里和其他的好处，玩刺激运动会分泌肾上腺素。那这2句话表示刺激并不是这运动唯一能怎么样子的。依照文意，这题答案选 H offer 提供，长板可以提供刺激感和其他东西。第9题， An hour of longboarding burns 300 calories in a 57 kilogram person and helps build core and leg blank。 1小时的长板运动会帮助锻炼核心和腿部的什么？第9题要放名词，和 core 核心 leg 腿组成了复合名词，答案很清楚，我们直接选 D muscles 肌肉。第10题 So whether you are looking for an blank or just a good workout, grab a longboard and start tearing up some turf。 不管你在寻找什么，或只是一项合适的运动，拿起长板大展身手吧。在冠词 an 之后应该放单数名词，高速滑行是种极端的刺激，所以这题答案要选 F thrill 刺激。以上是今天的讲解，谢谢收听。
That brings us to the end of our lesson for today. Thank you so much for joining us, and please join us again next time for another lesson. From all of us here at English Digest, I'm Tom.
I'm Stephanie. See
Goodbye.
ya.